welcome to Gary's Roundtable. We'll talk about everything imaginable, some things that aren't. Brace yourself. Hi, and welcome to the inaugural podcast of Gary's Roundtable. The table isn't round, but maybe the conversation will be. That sounds stupid too. Anyway, today for my the cherry poppin' episode here, I've got my good friend Mike Proctor.
What up?
As everybody knows, Mike Proctor, and Brant Swafford.
How are ya?
Friend of mine for many, many years, and musician, tile man, who wears many hats. Only one at a time, though.
We all wear many hats.
Anyway, I've kind of been floundering around trying to figure out what sort of podcast I wanted to do for some time, ever since Mr. Proctor abandoned me with our old podcast.
I'm sorry, bro.
I know, what a dick. But here's this is kind of my idea. Here's Gary's Roundtable is I'm going to pick a subject, and then my first subject is actually kind of fucked up. It's like end of the world scenarios or end of humanity type scenarios. I built the totally random randomizer, and Mike selected at totally random the topic for today. And today, our end of the world, end of humanity scenario is alien invasion, which is actually the one that I thought was least likely.
Yeah, most definitely.
But
I think so as well.
But I think it's a fun topic. We're just gonna sit here, spitball it, bullshit, try to have fun with end of the world.
I thought it was funny.
Hoorah!
I thought it was funny because when I hit the randomizer, I stopped it on alien invasion, and I was like, "Oh, thank God! This is the one I can actually have a little knowledge of. Like, I'm at least into the subject somewhat.
Right.
Right.
So I have some decent thoughts on alien invasion.
So pretty much my idea for the whole podcast is like take the darkest, most unsettling subject matter imaginable, and then just have fun with it. So if you've got a warped sense of humor, pretty much if you have a warped sense of humor, this is going to be your shit. But
it should be fun, man.
Anyway, okay, so I guess we're going to kick it right off. We're going to get into this. What do you think? Like likelihood of? Well, first, I guess we have to get into. Do you believe that aliens exist? I guess that's got to be the first step, because we can't have a discussion about whether they're going to invade and kill us all if we don't believe they exist. It's sort of like,
kind of moot.
Right.
We're not believe. We don't have to believe they exist. We have to accept the possibility or the potential.
Right. I can go this one. I 100% do believe they exist. Never gave it any thought before last year or the year before when the Pentagon started releasing all of this footage they had captured over years, like the Tic Tac. Which are you familiar with the Tic Tac? It's one of the flying crafts. They call it. Like,
it's a little they call it, like, they refer to them as cigar shaped.
Yeah,
craft,
a little bit. Yeah, they look like almost like a Tic Tac. They're like a little tube, like a pill.
Right.
And then that was actually following the Bob Lazar interview and documentary that dropped on Netflix, and then he went on Joe Rogan and like broke down all the alien shit.
Right.
And you're like, dude, it is insane to me with that you would not believe that something exists. Even the government is saying they don't know what the fuck these things are. All this stuff. They're keeping it all secretive, all that sort of nonsense.
Right. I just saw an interview with John Ratcliffe, and he said that they're going to be declassifying some stuff, and it's supposed to be coming through by June.
Yep, I seen that as well.
And what was funniest to me is he said the reason they haven't quite declassified it yet is because they're trying to come up with a format for the public to understand. And what that actually said to me was, we're trying to figure out a way to tell the public that aliens exist without just coming right out and saying aliens exist. So
I think also probably in a related, completely unrelated, but more related in like a humanity perspective, is you see how like that Q shit got completely out of control. It's like QAnon, all this like people blew up and went completely insane.
That's what would happen.
Right. They don't want to drop something that allows too much speculation on the part of the recipient, because then they're going to be like, God damn it, I told you guys, this lizard alien overlords are taking over everything. So they don't want to, now they have to think about it from the, before it was always like, we don't want to freak everybody out and start a panic, but now they're like, we don't want people to freak everyone else out. We don't want them storming the Pentagon with torches and pitchforks and going, we demand a full release of all the classified information.
Right. And then there was that Area 51 raid that was supposed to happen a couple years
All
back.
the Kyles.
That was
all the Kyles.
Man. Yeah.
So, God damn it, what's his name? Jeremy something, the director of the Bob Lazar documentary, the guy who actually put all the pieces together. And it was like his dream, his life work was kind of that thing. He had been into this stuff a lot. Talked with George Knapp, the reporter on that whole situation a bunch. And he's the one who kind of brought it all to light. He goes back on the Rogan show and talks about what really happened with the raid on Area 51, which was essentially, and I'm going to butcher the story, but essentially they all met up in a different place because the one place got like the government like kind of came in and shut that shit down. They're like, no, you ain't fucking gathering here. I don't remember where it was, outside of the base or whatever. So they went to like a nearby small town, like raided like one of the offices or something, or like a hotel room, not raided, but gathered and had like a discussion, like a very thought out, thoughtful, like little conference or seminar on the subject and everything with all the people who did end up going to that thing. So I thought that was kind of crazy.
It is fun. But the thing that amazed me about that whole idea is like, hey, come on, let's run. Let's just run. Let's just run directly at a military installation protecting classified information, and then what? They can't stop us all. Yeah, they can, dumbass.
Yeah, actually they can, especially if they're keeping some alien technology secret. They're probably going to take you all out.
They don't even need the alien technology. You seen the ruins that we left Iraq in?
Oh yeah.
Or the Afghanistan, or any number of other countries that we've been to. Like those military, that's where they build that shit that they did that with.
That's their single purpose. Their single purpose in life is to be able to demolish an army that is
right. That's all, to kill anyone that comes against them. That's their purpose. Yeah. Destroy whatever enemy comes before them.
Right.
And now you're gonna fucking run at them like, look, wait, drink a couple Monster Energies and then just be like, fuck you guys, I'm coming in.
Right. Their entire goal is to take people out on their own home turf. So what do you think that they're gonna do?
Right,
and like when it's their home turf, when they're the ones having to protect their stuff,
their location.
Well,
all
I gotta do is just be like, okay, turn on the electricity to the fence, and they're like, oh, okay.
Flick the switch.
Kyle and Jake aren't gonna be able to make it through the fence now. Oh man, no matter how fast they Naturo run.
Naruto.
Yeah.
Naruto.
I don't know. I'm bad at
no, it's okay. That's why I was helping you out, dog.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. There's going to be nerds coming.
That was a very good guess. It was very good.
There's going to be nerds coming for me now. They're going to be like, I'm never listening to this podcast again.
Well,
you guys a dick.
See, as far as I'm concerned, even without anything being declassified or even with all that stuff that came out, to me, it's almost like very anthropocentric to think that we're the only ones in the universe. I mean, even if there aren't any extraterrestrials who are advanced enough to make it to our planet or whatever, I do believe that no matter what, life exists on other planets. But considering that, like, even if a small fraction of all of the alien encounters and UFO stories and all that, even if just a small fraction of those are true, that tells me that these beings have advanced enough technology to
they do some crazy shit
to basically do whatever they want.
So,
right.
Though
us.
The interesting thing about an alien invasion, right, is like they're already here. I mean, if we take the facts that we know, they already come here. So
ancient astronaut theorists,
right?
Like why
aliens?
Why are they coming here? And would an invasion even happen?
See,
That's very loaded
and
question.
that's the thing is with everything, like all the stories and everything through the years, and even those ancient astronaut theories and all that stuff that they've been coming since like the Egyptian times and all that stuff.
Right.
If like an actual invasion like Independence Day style was going to happen, I think it would have happened by now. You know, I mean, because we're talking like thousands of years. You know, humans as advanced and complex as we think we are, it doesn't take that long to study us and decide what they want to do.
We're hairless upright apes. You know, that's pretty much
right.
But the thing is you look out at the vastness of the cosmos, and the ones that are visiting us. Just think about, like, I think of any alien species, like I think of wild animals. Like, if you had a whole, like, this invasive species, let's say of squirrels, that moved in, the threat to us as humans isn't really that big. Oh, they want to get in your house and check, or like bats or mice or whatever. They're getting in your house. They're looking for shit. They're just looking for shit to eat. They're not trying to kill you. They're not
looking
gonna,
at
they're
you
a nuisance.
They're left behind.
Right. They're not going to jack you up. They're just curious and checking shit out. And maybe those are the aliens that have been visiting us so far. Is the wonder what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Not the I can eat those things, or they don't necessarily view us as a threat, or
in that vein.
But we're also not advanced enough to be a threat to them.
Exactly.
So I think it becomes more likely with every technological advancement we make, we become more of a threat to. We would become more of a threat to. It's like I don't know. It's like over the Middle East. Like, we looked at some of those little third world countries, and we weren't worried about it. Like Afghanistan. I mean, give me a break. 30, 40 years ago, would anybody have been like, "Oh my God, we gotta pay attention to Afghanistan because
Right.
they're gonna," or you know, and then 9/11 happens. All these terrorists over there is because the technology caught up with whatever, they were able to pull some shit off that they wouldn't have been able to pull off before we invented.
They got smart enough and figured out enough to like actually stick it to us.
And right now, I think if there's an advanced society from another planet with technology advanced enough to like interstellar faster than light speed travel, that's actually out colonizing or exploring or whatever the vast reaches of the universe, we're like, we can't even get out of our own solar system,
Right.
Certainly not with a manned mission.
We're only just making it to another planet with
Right.
robots.
Where we haven't had a person on a planet outside of the moon. I mean, we haven't even, there hasn't even
Which
been
isn't that far.
a human foot on Mars, the closest planet to us. So
I think in that same vein, why are they coming here? Why are we seeing them now? Could be
threat monitoring.
Multiple species, and you get the curious ones, right? Zad and I have kind of talked about this a little bit, and unfortunately Zad couldn't make it today. Shout out to him; he's about to have a little baby girl. But so, and I know
think
Zad
he should let his wife do it.
yeah, for sure. That was a dad joke, bro.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm a dad. I'm allowed.
So we've talked about this. You brought up the fact of like, oh, they've been coming here for a long time. Isn't there, like hieroglyphs and such from the ancient Egyptians and wall carvings with these like crazy saucers on them, and they all look like these crazy weird crafts that I heard about in the Bob Lazar documentary. Are we like an experiment?
Yeah, there's some theories about that. I can't remember, but once you get into starting to, what's it, Fermi Paradox? So you find the Fermi Paradox and then answers to it. It's just all speculation about the Fermi Paradox is basically, if there's all these alien species out there, there's life out there, where are they and why aren't we seeing them?
Right.
And then the answers are everything from,
we could be in a controlled environment.
It was the Great Filter Theory is the one that really kind of hit me hard, is that like any species to advance far enough to be able to accomplish interstellar travel and shit like that has to first not destroy themselves in the quest for that kind of power or that kind of that kind of power source to be able to do that. And we've how many close calls we've had with nuclear on this planet. I mean, it's a miracle this ball is still spinning around and it's not just vaporized atoms with all there's enough nuclear material right now to destroy the world something like 3 or 4 times over completely, like atomize the whole.
Yeah, so we got Mercury, Venus, and Earth, maybe Mars.
Right.
We can take them all out.
Even if they have been coming to this planet for as long as people think they have, and even if they're actually friendly, the one thing that I can say is after all these years of studying is the one thing that they have learned is that humans probably won't exactly be tolerant of their existence.
Yeah, no shit.
I mean,
we have problems
for the most part. We have problems being tolerant of each other.
We have problems
most
with
of the
being
time.
Tolerant of like every single species on the planet.
exactly. So
like fuck a bat. Like,
everything.
Dude, I killed them things with a tennis racket. I don't give a fuck about a bat.
So even with all their years of observing us, and even if they were here like as friendlies, even if their entire intention was to like help us out and like help us advance technologically as well, I think everything that they've learned about us is that we wouldn't exactly be accepting of it.
Right. Well, that's the other thing. They wouldn't. If they wanted to destroy us, all they got to do is sit back and watch. Just get some alien popcorn and be like,
right.
That's probably
Season
kinda
3
what
of
they're
Earth
doing.
is looking pretty good right about now.
Right.
They're just cruising every now and then off the coast of the big cities. Like, oh, these motherfuckers
Locking their doors.
got their doomsday. Got the
Roll 'em up.
doomsday clock. But you say learned about us, right? That's something that I thought was a really cool takeaway from some of the stuff I had looked into. Was one of the things is like their method of travel is so very different from ours. If we're talking about all the facts again, these crafts move by like distorting gravity, essentially. Which I think was Bob Lazar. Or he talks about maybe these things are made out of like completely different elements, and the technology is made from like a different environment, like a planetary environment. This planet that they're from or whatever could have just fantasy materials that we don't even know of.
Right. Our entire periodic table is made up of the elements that we know about existing.
Right.
It could be an absolute, like the physics there could be essentially far different than they are here. They had to make up like this. They had to synthetically make this crazy element 151 or whatever to like power the craft that they were toying with. I don't know, but
right. But that's
I think that's a cool thought that they look down upon us like, oh. And it could be very well be different here than it is there. They could look down upon us and say, oh, they like put stuff in the front of a thing and make it explode and shoots things out the back, and that's how they like propel, create propulsion in vehicles and such. While they don't do that, like it's a different thing.
Well, they may live in a lower gravity environment. They could have evolved. If they evolved on a low gravity environment, then it wouldn't take anywhere near the amount of energy to get.
To do things.
Right, to go really fast in space isn't a problem because you're in the vacuum. It's the problem with you could take a regular airplane jet engine could probably haul ass in outer space, but it just doesn't have what it takes to get all the way through the atmosphere.
In the laws of physics as we know it, these things, this place or whatever, just could be completely different, and so they could be studying us in a sense, right? Which is why I'm like, why would they want to invade us? You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's a good question. Why would they?
Why would they?
Well,
they could be after our resources. Things that they may not have.
Why did we?
That would be the biggest thing. Would be resources. I mean, why really does anybody invade anything? I mean, for the most part, that's why. Outside of religious reasons, obviously, but that's a lot of the reason why the New World was discovered was because they were searching for resources, spices, and
cool new
and
places
other
to
things.
live.
Yep.
Right, exactly. So
They might just be trying to go on vacation somewhere.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I mean,
Like,
if
oh
you
no,
live-
these guys do not like us. They send up like these jet planes and fucking follow us around. We gotta get the fuck out of here.
No, but yeah, if you lived on like some desolate fucking moon surface, Mars surface, or whatever, and you like to fly over past this planet, like trees, cool. Dude, I gotta bring the kids, man. We gotta get the whole fam together. We're gonna get the
They gotta
Load up-
see this shit.
load up the space Winnebago, and we're just gonna zip on over here and
This planet's inhabited by a
Camp
bunch of little
out.
furry things.
look at these, all kinds of vast life. Look at these upright monkeys, upright pink monkeys, and they're just they stopped throwing poo like the other monkeys, but
Now they throw explosives.
right.
They're still throwing shit at each other.
They're just constantly fighting. It's great. It's like entertainment.
Like a reality TV show.
Right.
I have a crazy weird theory too. So these crafts, again, they don't follow like the same laws of physics as us. And I listened to another podcast with the commander David Fravor, who's like the pilot of one of the planes that had close contact with one of these crafts. And the way he describes is it kind of zips under the water at some point. And shit, for all we know, like we don't know jack shit about the sea. You know, there's like a lot of 70% of unexplored territory or whatever.
We know more about space than we know about the oceans.
Right. And so my kind of crazy fan theory that I not want to come true, but if I was, I'd be like, aha, is that they just live under the water.
It's just like Atlantis.
Atlantis is real.
Right. And it's an alien society. Yeah. Which I could totally agree with.
You know what I mean? Like and you talked about like the gravity of our planet and our environment. That's kind of what spawned us, because we learned to adapt in this environment. These guys are like, you know, the way the crafts are described, they're like really small and have like the big heads or whatever. Like, Lord knows what kind of environment makes that type of creature. We
right,
don't fucking
and,
know.
and see, and that would actually kind of make sense, especially if they did come from a planet with a lower gravity, because if they were to live underwater, it would almost essentially simulate that lower gravity with the buoyancy of water and
if you were an
all that
oxygen,
kind of
if you were an
stuff.
oxygen breather and you lived underwater, it'd make sense for your breathing hole to be at the floatiest part. You know,
Like a
big
whale.
giant head, you're gonna float around like a bobber or whatever, and then I mean, whales and dolphins, their blowholes at the top of so they can get up there and have a little breath of fresh air without having to go all the way up out of the water.
Right.
So
and like you were saying earlier about the pilot, see, and that's the thing is a lot of these sightings are by like people who know better, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like the town drunk who's going, I saw this thing, there.
Because
You
the
know,
problem is,
these are like military pilots and like high level people who should be able to explain what they're seeing,
right.
and they can't.
Who are like,
But the problem with that is that for every one of those credible, intelligent witnesses, there is
a town drunk.
right.
who's
There is
going,
a town drunk, or there's some the guy was like, well, I was out there, skeet shooting in the backyard with me and Reginald, and we'd fell out the back of the rusty Dodge pickup truck,
And they probed my butthole.
and then I woke up and there was this big gray thing standing over me, and like it violated me, man. You know.
Right.
So for every story that seems credible, there are 100 where you could just it's like poisoning the well. You know.
Right. Exactly.
Like nobody.
Exactly.
And I've actually wondered this before. If every single one of those like dumb, unbelievable, ridiculous fuckers isn't like a
plant.
government plant, right? Like the government was like, hey, here, Hank, here's
We need to take credibility out of these credible sources,
Right.
so we're gonna take all of this and
here's $80. Tell me about your alien experience on camera. And the guy's like, well, I mean,
you guys ever watch the movie Paul?
yes.
Yes.
Such a good movie. I thought that was fucking hilarious how they're like, he's like, at some point he's like, yeah, all those pictures and shit. And he smiles and he's like, that's me, And he looks just like the typical cliche alien.
Right.
This big head and shit. Talk about government plants. Lord knows, man.
Well,
Lord knows.
that would be such an easy thing to do. All you got to do is get a whole bunch of like the most ridiculously unbelievable
But
People that look like they got it.
they already do that with news stories to begin with, you know. I mean, when you watch a news story, who's the guys that they interview? Is it the guys in the
Right.
suits and ties, or is it the or
The characters.
exactly.
Right? Do they ever go up to
exactly.
the CEO of a bank and ask him what the tornado sounded like?
Right? No, they're talking to
Get your
Billy
kids,
Joe Bob Redneck.
Get your
you know,
wife.
Well, I
Or-
just woke
or-
out in the middle of the night. I thought there was a train ripping through the trailer.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but it'd just be so easy for them to. You $50, you could get some hillbilly to be like, yeah, no, I saw some aliens out here, and they was like, it'd be so easy, so easy.
But yeah, with people with credible social statuses and stuff, it makes it hard to ignore. I think so many people now are so much more aware of like, holy fuck, like this isn't just a crazy thing that crazy people say. And now it's so real. You talked about the new releases. I'm like, oh, like I'm not even like a big conspiracy guy or anything. I think it's interesting, but I genuinely don't talk about it a lot because you don't want to be seen as like that crazy conspiracy guy.
Right.
But
well, there's a difference between finding it interesting and believing it.
true that.
And that's I
Wise
don't know,
words.
the big thing for me is I haven't seen enough to say that I believe that we're being visited by aliens. I have seen enough to believe that we're seeing unidentified flying objects or unidentified aerial phenomena.
Yeah, what do they call them now? They're
Right.
AFIs or
UAPs,
Yep.
unidentified aerial phenomena.
Copy.
Which and that's the thing is I know I'm gonna sound crazy here, but I did actually see something when I was a kid. But the thing is when I was a kid, I just thought it was a shooting star because I seen a streak go across the sky, and like I was probably 6 or 7, and I just thought it was a shooting star. And it was my first one. I'd never seen a shooting star before, but it was like this blue streak that went across the sky, busted a quick left, and then kept going straight again. And I just thought it was a shooting star. I'd never seen a shooting star before. That was my whole thing. But then as I got older and I started going out and watching meteor showers and noticing that every single meteor that I ever saw only went straight across the sky, I thought back to that instance when I was a kid and saw that thing go zigzag across the sky, and I was like, I don't think that was a shooting star. So
Never seen
I'm
one
not-
of them do that before.
right, exactly. So I'm not exactly saying that I know what I saw. I just know that what I saw was not a shooting star, and but I didn't realize it until later on in life. It's not like when I was a kid and I saw it and I went, "Oh, alien," you know.
Oh, I've
was-
seen UFOs on 2 separate occasions in my life.
Where were you at in Michigan?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I
was
was
just curious.
Yep, I was in Michigan, Linden, as a matter of fact.
You ever see The Fourth Kind?
Yeah. Yep.
It's like a
That's
dramatization.
from the UP, right?
Alaska.
Sorry.
Nome,
Okay.
Alaska. Nome, Alaska has like more UFO sightings than like, or at the time I seen this movie or something, more than like the entire world or United States, something like that. But there are all these people in Nome, Alaska. The Fourth Kind's about like, and it's like a dramatization of an encounter where someone gets like abducted from a house.
It was a
Oh.
weird like combination of like aliens and demon possession shit.
Yeah,
It was so that was
They had like interviews with the people, and they look like all just had rough lives, and
but see the thing is they were doing all the like memory
What's Alaska? They do have pretty rough lives.
Right, well, they were trying to do like memory recovery through hypnosis and shit.
that's what it
Which
was. Yeah.
which is
yeah.
pseudoscience at best.
Right,
You
right,
know.
right,
So
right.
so if you get somebody and you've seen how they can feed people bullshit and like leading questions, and they can fuck with people once they get them into kind of I don't even know if there is such a thing as an
It's
actual
almost like a dream
hypnotic state, but they
Yeah.
get them into like a state where their brain is susceptible to that,
suggestible.
right? And then they can get them to believe shit.
Mm.
That's what like cults and shit do. That they get you brainwashed. They'll get you into this. There's just so many things, and then the more crazy the story is, like that fucking demonic possession by aliens or whatever. See, that's like, I don't know. That's just one of those things where I'm just like, no,
yeah.
no.
Well, there
I
could
mean-
be a logical kind of resolution in it. Like, I don't know, man. You talk about brain. Like, some people they literally believe the shit. Like, to them, it is real. Like, And the brain is a fucking weird thing.
It is weird.
It is.
But then,
it is very.
but there are so many factors involved in it too. I mean, anything from like if carbon monoxide. If you got a carbon monoxide problem in your house, you could see some crazy shit.
Yeah.
A little bit of oxygen deprivation. Whoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who knows? Who knows? I mean, shit. There's some people that like if they
Giving
eat
you
too
the
much
morphine.
if they eat too much MSG, they'll fucking flip out and kill somebody. Be like, I don't know what happened. I mean that's been used in legal defenses for like cases before.
It was the beef
MSG.
broth.
I ate too much. I ate too much Chinese food, and the next thing you know, I stabbed this guy 37 times in the neck. You know.
Yeah, and and that's the kind of stuff that seems strange to me because I'm not gonna say how, but I have had hallucinatory experiences, but I've never seen anything that wasn't there. It's more of like I just saw stuff that was there do stuff it wasn't supposed to do.
Right on.
Now,
Yeah.
if you were predisposed to having delusions before you took the psychedelic substance, or were given it, I guess you could have been forced into it. I'm not gonna.
Could have been hypnosis.
I'm not gonna tell your story.
I'm gonna
for
play
him.
the fifth on that one.
Okay, right. But yeah, if you're a suggestible person, or you have realistic delusional fantasies or some other kind of disorder, and then you get some psychedelic experience, you see some crazy shit. Or if you had like some serious like PTSD or something from
well, even like schizophrenia,
kind of
man. There's already a lot of hallucinations that come along with that to begin with. So I imagine if there was some kind of suggestion or like trying to play on that kind of stuff, it could very well happen.
When we think hallucination, we think of like an apparition, a thing that materialized out of nothing. But sometimes like hallucination, like I watched the documentary on Aaron Hernandez, the football player who he had CTE. And now it wasn't like you wouldn't call it a hallucination, but it almost kind of is, because he truly believed that people were like out to get him. Like, you know, you would have like an interaction with a person and just take it in a different context of than what it really is, because your brain's all warped and you're thinking this crazy shit. So yeah, I don't know, man. The brain's a fucking crazy thing.
In everyday life, I have this thing where you ever meet these people that there's this game that we all like to play, but I know some people like to play a lot more. It's called What's That Supposed to Mean? And you can play this game with anybody, like with anything anybody says, if you're sufficiently paranoid, and it can drive you completely fucking nuts.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you.
That's true, but yeah. So if I say like, "Wow, you look really good today,"
What's that supposed to mean?
Today, the fuck is that? So do I normally look like shit? Is that what that means? So I mean, you think I'm disgusting on a daily basis, but today I look okay. Well, fuck you, and get out of here with your lying bullshit. You know, I mean, I've actually done it before in my own remembering, like, what is that?
Yeah, you're a what's that supposed to mean guy.
Well, I mean, I have the capacity to be. I don't generally do it. Sometimes I do it just for my personal entertainment, because I have crazy fun inside my brain nonstop.
Yeah, me too, man. Like, I'm not a what's that supposed to mean kind of guy in the moment, but after the fact I am. Very much so. I'm thinking about them.
You know what I should have said?
Yep. Oh, I do that all the time.
Mean,
I've always said that my superpower, if I was to actually choose a superpower, is I would want the power to go back in time to a point where, like, I could say something that I'd thought of later. You know, like once I've thought of something or a good comeback, I want the power to be able to go back to that moment so I can use that comeback. That would be the superpower that I would want.
Yeah, remember that one time that guy said whatever, and I just was like, "You're an asshole."
Right.
Instead, I like to like, "Hey, did you know your mom's fucking the milkman for real? Here's pictures." You know?
Fuck you, Shorzy.
Out of all the superpowers, though, that's a pretty good one, dog. That's a pretty good one. Damn, yeah, that would be useful as shit.
Right.
I mean,
right,
I would
right,
abuse
right.
the hell out of it. I'd go
Oh,
back and
totally.
do other shit.
Just
Oh,
like
dude.
future you is the voice in you's head.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can I go back
Okay.
to when I was 9
Yeah,
and
the,
say,
the little devil angel sitting on the shoulder
Right.
is me from like the future going, this is what you should say right now because I thought of it later.
I wouldn't use it
Either
for
that or
Oh.
she really wants to get in your pants because you're oblivious at a certain age. Like, oh, she's a nice girl. She's not a nice girl. She's hitting on you. She wants you to fuck her.
Oh, I just thought she was being friendly.
In 20 years, she's not going to look like that. So get on it, bud.
100%, I'm going back. I'm saying when I'm like 9 or 10, we should stream movies at home, and I'll keep doing that so that I come up with Netflix.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I've thought about that. If I was to go back in
That's
time,
what I'm using.
I
That for.
would tell myself, invent Google.
Yeah, that's way better than mine, bro. Well, we got off on a tangent on brains.
Yeah, well,
That's my bad.
but it's a related thing. I mean, because
I think it is.
It really is. I mean, everything's about your perception. I mean, because what can we really know?
True.
I mean, you can't know. You can't be 100% certain about anything, even that you really exist.
Which I can totally agree with you there.
It's
I
just
mean,
messed up. I mean, we could be a brain in a vat. We could be a simulation. We could just be programmed to believe that this is what we're experiencing, but we're not really experiencing it.
We could be in a Matrix type scenario, you know, where we're all just being harvested for the electricity in our bodies. I mean, it's.
What's that supposed to mean?
It's some wild shit, man.
But yeah, so I guess what do you think? Do you think there's any likelihood of us actually being invaded? Now, we've kind of established it. I think we all kind of
Don't think that it's
well, I
that
mean,
type of a threat.
I guess it depends on what we're considering the definition of invaded. If we're talking about just alien visits, yes, obviously, I think it's even happened. But if we're talking like invasion on like a global like I brought up before, Independence Day kind of style, where like just one day we're gonna wake up and there's gonna be like giant space saucers, they're like saucers in the sky, and aliens are gonna go, "We're here, bud." You know. That I'm not completely sure about, but so as far as like I said, the definition of invasion, I think they've already been here. I think they've been visiting us. I think they've been studying us. But as far as like this mass,
if they decided that they needed
coming out party,
right? If they decided they wanted to wipe out the human race, I don't know. My personal thought on is that we wouldn't even know.
True
that it was them doing it.
I was literally going to say that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's think about
They could-
Independence Day situation. If they come here, like based on the facts that we know, it will happen over. As a matter of fact, we won't even wake up in the morning. Dependent. I mean, who knows what time of the day they want to do it? But like, it would literally happen like that. These things can move at such a fast pace. Like, I don't know. What if they just rammed them through all of everyone's bedrooms? Just fucking drove these things right through the wall.
Well,
They distort gravity.
You're not even thinking big enough. You're still thinking small.
I know. I'm just
like,
using an exaggerated.
We're thinking Air Force type thing, not Death Star type thing. If they wanted us gone or super virus, shit, they could just drop. Hey, we got this thing that's gonna eat people.
Right, yeah.
Drop
right.
it on there. Bloop.
But
gone.
like Independence Day, they literally all of them show up and they don't fly out of the machine. We don't even see them, and they just there's 100,000 of them, like
Right.
just all spaces over in the sky. Like,
But
we would never even see it coming.
But even that, like Independence Day, even that, like that was like. I mean, it was a cool movie, but like compared to like a Star Wars level, fleet, like a Imperial Star fleet or a couple of Star Destroyers, Independence Day ships are like they're gone. They're toast.
Exactly.
Like a Death Star.
And that's the thing is if the end of the world was going to happen due to an alien invasion, I honestly don't think they would announce it first.
Yeah,
I don't think they would come in and say, "Hey, we're here. We're gonna like just kind of hang out and hover for about 12 hours before we actually destroy the planet." I think they would just like come and be like,
well, there's so many ways that they could do it. I mean, look, we've seen what a virus can do. they could if they have that technology, they could program a virus or build a virus like we'd never seen before. There'd be no possibility of us defeating it. Hell, they could accidentally bring a virus here, an alien virus that we don't have any.
Yeah, they could take us all out without actually even meaning to.
And that's the other nuclear war. If they could control one silo to launch one missile somewhere in Russia or somewhere in the U.S., because we're still on. All that shit's still pointed at each other.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if we got one coming in, guess what? We're shooting one back, and then everybody else is going to do it too, and then bloop, problem solved. So really, I think the aliens would have enough. I think, once we consider that they're smart enough and technologically advanced enough to travel through interstellar space at faster than light speed, then the possibility for them wiping us out, it would be like, Mike Tyson versus a toddler, and like the toddler's asleep too, so like he doesn't even know.
Right.
It's like he's just in there sleeping, like, and then Mike Tyson comes in and goes like, "Stupid baby," and just whacks him right in the head, and it's over.
Yeah, it would be real quick. Done data, real quick.
Right.
They're not going to come and stop and say, "Bring me to your leader."
Yeah, and there's
Biden walks
no
up the
amount
stairs.
of military might, even if the entire world was to like say, okay, this is happening, you know what, we should probably come together and just be like one planet fighting this other planet. I still don't think we would even have a chance.
No, the only way would be if we knew something, or there was something special about the human condition, the live human condition, that they needed to learn, or they needed to understand, or even if they were just like, man, these things are pretty interesting. Let's gather them up for a zoo or like a game preserve or whatever. So it's like, oh,
Right.
look, let's see how they behave in their natural habitat. It's like it's alien safaris. That's what they. So they just fly
That's
through.
what they're
They're
coming.
like, oh, look at that.
So
Crack.
the crafts, that going back to like them being here for a long time, one of the unique things about all these crafts that they had, because they had like 7 or 11 of them. I'm sure they got more than that. Is that
That's all according to what Bob Lazar.
correct? Right, correct. But like, where do they come from? They crash here, and where do they find them? I think a lot of them may have been here already from a long time ago, from the past. And then they just kind of unearth these things.
I don't think
archaeological digs.
Yeah,
and
I don't.
Such.
I don't know. I mean, that's more likely. I can't. This is the other thing, like that irritates me about that whole idea. Like, that makes more sense that if the spacecraft are crashing, it makes more sense to me that they're actually experimental aircraft made by us, because if there's one thing people are good at, it's fucking crashing shit.
Yeah, that is.
And
true.
I gotta think, these guys flew from 1,000 light years away over to this planet at faster than the speed of light, and then they
crash.
and then their alternator blew.
right, and they get here and they're like, "Hey, we finally made it! Victory shots or what?" like we just spent 700 years traveling across the depths of space. Break out that blackberry brandy.
But going to my other theory, if they already live here, they would have been like remnants of an old generation, old kingdom or something, right? So a little more believable.
Well,
They're already there. They're already there.
Yeah. But there was one thing I did want to circle back to, is you talked about the spacecraft that went underwater.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things, like the pressure underwater, you have to build a certain degree of strength into your like your submarines,
Right,
because
right.
anything that's not built fucking tough is going to get crushed under that pressure.
Right.
Now, likewise, out in the vacuum of space, anything that's not built super tough is going to expand because it's a vacuum. Pressure's inside and vacuum's outside. Poof. So, essentially, to build a craft that could handle either one, you could probably send a submarine up into space and it'd be fine. you could probably fly a space shuttle into the ocean, and
Do you
it'd
think?
be fine.
Yeah, I would
Because
agree with
it
that.
has to, just the exterior of the hull has to be strong enough, but it has to be strong enough in both directions
Right.
to withstand the expansion or the exterior pressure. So I think, you know, a spacecraft capable of faster than light speed travel through the vacuum of space would have to be solid enough hull wise, you
And
know.
it could do both.
Yeah.
And the way they talk about these crafts, there's like no seams. There's no pieces like holding them
Right,
together.
they're not riveted.
They're
It's
just
all,
like one
yeah.
smooth thing.
Is it 3D printed?
It could be. They're working with some shit we ain't got yet.
Oh, it's just die cast moldings.
little bit of sand.
Right,
forged.
right.
How about like War of the Worlds?
War of the Worlds was awesome.
Right, that's a cool concept. And kind of counterverse to what you guys were talking about is like our bacterias end up killing them after
Well,
they
and
come
that
in.
actually makes a lot of
Right.
sense.
I agree with that too. Is that could be very possible? That could be a reason why they haven't had their coming out party yet. Was
Right.
because they know that there's something on this planet that could take them out.
Everything on this planet
Coronavirus,
is trying to
bitch.
kill you. You know?
We got COVID-19.
Well,
Fuck you.
right.
That's the ultimate defense. The last line. Hope you don't like coughing, 'cause, shit's gonna get rough, bud. No, that's one of those things where I like pre-Star Wars. Every sci-fi movie, every imagined sci-fi world was this pristine, spotless, clean, sterile. Everybody's wearing silver or white. Everything is so clean and precise and sanitary. Yeah,
New and unused.
right. There was no. I mean, you can't look at that situation. It was almost like medical type conditions.
Right.
So you don't think of them being around. Well, you don't even think about them going outside. Like, where'd they get the metal to build all this shit? You don't think about like the miners or whatever.
Right, right.
How did they get all this? But if they were that advanced of a society, I mean, look at us, just as the human race. Think about the evolution of the cleanliness of our food in the last 200 years. When's the first refrigerator? When did that happen?
I don't know.
200-300 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, they
yeah.
did like some ice stuff, but there wasn't even really refrigeration before.
Right, but
so
even then, for the most part, they had to ship ice in order for
Right.
that stuff. I mean, the electricity has really only been around for
Right, but they still ate beef and pork and fish and all this stuff. Like pork in particular, if you don't get it cooked all the way, it'll make you really sick. What? And maybe it did. Maybe it did. Maybe a bunch of people died from food back in the day.
they did, and that's that. Well,
But-
and that's a lot of the reason. But there's also I mean, curing was
I was gonna say-
was very, very, very big.
That's what everyone
curing
did.
and pickling.
Right,
I
right.
mean, everything was salty as hell, but I mean, it would stay around for a while.
Mhm.
But a lot of people did eat rotten food, and that's a lot of the reason why we started spicing and seasoning our food was
Right.
not because it tasted so much better to have spices and seasonings. It was because they were trying to cover up the taste of rot
Yeah.
and all that. So it's just honestly, I forgot where I was going with that.
Oh,
so.
I know. It's along the lines of my point. Like, they ate some shit back then that would fucking kill us now.
Oh yeah.
Because,
oh,
I mean,
definitely.
What we eat now is like it's so clean and
Yeah.
I mean, like, somebody ate a peanut back then. Yeah, whatever, they're fine. Or gluten, you know. But now, now they're. It's just so it's so weird. And people have been drinking milk for how long?
Right.
Long before we had fucking refrigeration.
Oh yeah.
There ain't no refrigerated titties in nature, you know. But that goes bad. You drink some spoiled milk or something now,
You're fucked.
You're right. You're gonna be in the crapper for a week. It's gonna be a rough go. But I gotta think we're not even to that point. Like we're we're still primitive compared to the super clean. So I got to think their bodies would not be able to withstand even the least bit of infection or dirt or anything because they never had to fight it on their own.
Mhm.
Right, exactly. Well, it's. I mean, we can see it in our own history. What happened when the Europeans came over here and like took out the indigenous populations just without even meaning to
I
through
know,
disease.
just kindly giving them blankets.
Right. Well,
Here, so you can stay warm.
exactly.
Well, I guess occasionally, maliciously, but
Well,
weaponizing the viruses.
Well,
but,
see,
disease.
eventually it became maliciously, but the maliciousness happened after the accidental shit happened because they came over here and they saw that they accidentally gave them these diseases and killed a small population. So what if we purposely gave them diseases so we could kill big populations?
Just walking around rubbing blankets on people with disease.
Exactly.
Like, hey, you guys got any old clothes you used
Opening
to wear?
ice cream and licking the tops of them.
It's like they got the goodwill of just here, have some unwashed clothing from sick people or people that died.
I wonder, the biology has to be so different. And I wonder what they do eat. I wonder how their evolution did proceed, you know. And if I don't know if the aliens really do here and all the stories are true and stuff, then like we kind of already know it's just being hidden from us.
Like the kind of nutrients that
know,
in order for our
everything.
bodies to run, we have to have protein and carbohydrates and vitamins and minerals and all of this stuff in order for our bodies to work properly and do the things
And
that
grow,
it's supposed to do.
right?
So you have to wonder what it takes for them to even just be healthy and what kind of things it would take to
does
do
their
that.
life
Even-
require sustainability
even just
like that?
well,
Like,
even just looking at the diversity of life on the planet Earth, I mean, they could just be full of chlorophyll. They could.
that's what I mean.
They
Do
could
they
live off of
require fuel?
sunlight or
Right,
cosmic energy or
Right, converting different substances and elements to energy to fuel their bodies.
right.
Our planet's like cycle of things is like, you know, consume, burn, exhaust, consume, burn, exhaust.
Right.
And like their planet could be not that. They move by gravity. Maybe they don't need food.
Well,
Maybe that's how they progressed to this point of technological superiority, versus us as kind of trapped in this loop. And
You know,
making
maybe
slow
that's why
progress.
they keep coming back. They're just
Well-
showing back like for the food. Like, God damn, we didn't have this at home. This
Right.
shit's good.
Exactly, but also too, it is going back to a couple other things. We talked about like the kind of materials that their vessels would have to be made out of, and we also talked about their planets and what kind of thrust that it would take to get off of if they're lower gravity. But what about the fuel it would take for that? I mean,
For things,
for
period.
interstellar or even possibly intergalactic travel.
Yeah.
What is their fuel source? How are they?
Antimatter.
You think?
Well, it's possibly. I mean, I've seen some of the stuff some of the advancements that we've made, and I can't remember what is it like a. There's some kind of an engine that it's like infrared or some kind of like. You don't need a lot of thrust to get up to a high rate of speed once you're in the vacuum of space. You just
Right, and then
have
you can
to-
just go on forever because there's no friction.
Right, without the resistance, you can, just as long as you start accelerating. Once you hit at an accelerating rate out of the atmosphere, you could keep accelerating.
You don't need to continue
But,
to add thrust.
But if you do need to, it's really, really easy. You don't need a lot of shit. You could do it with compressed air.
You could do it with solar sails.
Yeah,
Really, I mean, you don't even necessarily need a fuel source beyond the star of that
So-
system.
black and white panels.
Right.
You ever see those little things, the little globes with like you get the thing in there with black and white on one side. It's like a little fan, and they spin just because the black absorbs and the white reflects. So just the sunlight will spin that thing. That's really all you'd need.
Right.
Exactly.
Something like that. That'd be
So not
we
really.
should patent it. Well, here's our proposal for a new spacecraft.
So yeah,
$1 billion.
not a lot,
Thanks.
but again, they're just doing it in a totally different way that we may not even understand. Like the laws that we understand may not apply to specifically how they're getting out there.
Well, I mean, it obviously if they have that kind of technology, they're far more advanced, and there's no way we could understand that kind of thing yet without them coming and specifically explaining it to us and saying, "See, this is what we figured out.
Right.
This is how we've done it."
But we wouldn't be capable of understanding yet, probably.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It'd be like,
And we'd probably try to kill him first.
right. I'm sure we would. I'm sure we definitely would try to kill them. Like,
It's like
especially if they were really good with technology. It's kind of be like, then all of a sudden you've got the tech people going like, these goddamn aliens are coming here and stealing our jobs.
They took our jobs.
It would be like dropping, us seeing, and it would just be like dropping like a car into medieval Europe, where they're all riding horses and carriages and shit. Like
Army
they
of
could
Darkness.
probably,
Oh,
they
and
could
then-
probably fuck around with it and figure it out.
No, we just drop it off, and it's like, oh, no, the problem's with the intake manifold. You go ahead. And they're like, what?
Like I bet you, someone would get in and they would start it up and put it in gear and be able to do it, but they wouldn't be able to fix it or know how
No,
it
'cause
works
understand
you know
it
what?
for a long
You know
time.
why? Because
Right.
once they figured out how to drive, they'd just be picking up all the chicks. The only dude with the car would have all the chicks, and then he'd lose interest in anything else. See, he wouldn't have anything left. He wouldn't have anything left in the tank. He'd be too tired. And but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Dehydrated.
Would you rather work on an engine or have sex?
That's true.
That is true.
That is very true. That is very
that's-
true.
That's
I know my answer.
That's probably the problem with the human race. It's one of those things. I watched that crazy documentary about the Marshall Applewhite and the Heaven's Gate cult. It was on HBO, and those guys like castrated themselves so they could actually stop being distracted by the pleasures of the flesh or whatever. And I've thought about that not as a personal thing, but because I'm a creature of wanton desires, and it's a very necessary and important part in my satisfaction. But you think how many things like you could have accomplished in life if you hadn't had a raging boner? What could you have done? What could you have concentrated on other than trying to get laid, like in your entire teenage and early 20s? Like, if you'd have just been focused on a school or a trade or whatever,
Anything else.
right? I mean, if you had the superpower to go back 20 years or whatever and tell your younger self about it, that would be the thing that you would say is like, okay, stop chasing them women around
Shit,
and
no.
open those fucking books and study and
Learn some shit.
Learn some shit.
Because see, and which I completely agree with you there, because even like taking my own experiences, now, don't get me wrong, I still enjoy sex rather a lot. But the one thing that I did notice is that once I graduated school, I was and started getting older, I was very much more interested in learning than I was during teenage years,
it's because
I
you
was,
didn't have to.
right. Like when I was in school, like I barely did my homework. I wasn't exactly the
No
best
shit,
student. But then like once I was like graduated and I was married and I was like sitting at home, I would sit and read history books like most people would read a Stephen King novel. I mean I was reading my ex-wife's like chemistry books, like just for fun.
Oh, this is interesting.
So I was like, once I was like out of that atmosphere and like got older, I was and especially once I was tied down to one woman there for a while, I was very much more interested in learning stuff that I just never really cared about before. You know?
Right, because you weren't on the eternal quest to get laid.
Right. I
So-
was able to
so-
just go and do that
right,
whenever I wanted
right,
to.
right, so you-
I could now. I didn't have to spend so much of my brain
So
like
75% of your brain power that was being used all through high school trying to get a piece of ass was now able to be used for good instead of evil.
Right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
That's like what our biology had us doing at the time. You know, the years, the data would show that's when you're supposed to procreate. So once you get through like that point in your life and like, you know, your biology starts to settle back down, like it is, I agree, it's so much easier to learn, and I'm so much more driven to learn now than I was back then. Like I didn't
definitely.
give a fuck about learning.
And I mean, really, if you look at like basically every other animal species, we actually kind of do that a little bit opposite
Right.
from them. You know, I mean, they start procreating at like as soon as they're able to.
Yeah, thank fucking God we don't operate like that.
but that's I mean what's hardwired into us is advancement of the species.
Right.
Advancement of the species, world domination. But except we've advanced so far as a species that we don't have any predators anymore.
Right.
So the thing is,
But the problem is we haven't advanced enough as a species to realize that we are just all one species.
right,
You know?
right.
I mean, yeah. There's people from Russia. There's people from South America. There's people from different countries all over the world. But the one thing that none of these people can really quite get through their head is that we are still all from the same planet.
We're all people. We're
Right.
all human beings, and we're all carbon-based life forms on planet Earth.
And it's because of that, is like I said earlier, is why I think the aliens haven't had their big coming out party, is because they know we wouldn't exactly be tolerant
Right,
of
right,
their
if they were-
existence.
Yeah, if
Do
they
you
were
think-
benign and they were just coming here to be like friends or whatever,
Which is
they show
also
up.
why I believe that they might not necessarily be the responsible for the end of the world, because I mean, knowing what they know and that we wouldn't exactly be tolerant of their existence, why wouldn't they have just taken us out by now
Right.
if they could?
Well, it depends on how similar to us they are. Because if they don't look anything like us, if they look like animals, you know, to us, if they look completely different than us, they might not understand that we don't hate other people necessarily because of how they look. You know, I mean, there's some degree of that. They just see us as hating other people that are others, but they think it's sort of like a competition and like a pack of wolves. Who's going to be the alpha? But we have like different colored wolves, and they're all like fighting because somebody wants to be in charge of. Oh, these guys have this is their area over here, and it's their. But they think we're all fighting with each other because that's just what people do with our species.
We're an entire planet of high school cliques.
right,
Yeah, no shit.
right.
Do you think the invasion changes that? Do you think an opposing
Not soon enough.
enemy
It would
Would
not.
it bring us
would-
together? Would
yeah,
it bring
if it did
would it bring the
happen,
planet together
would
as like
people-
a one people one planet kind
would
of thing?
it be this is Earth and not this is America?
Maybe.
Maybe, but I
don't
agree
know,
with
man.
you that it might be a little bit too late at that point.
I do too, because I don't know, there's too many underlying things that we as people are like, oh, we're gonna defeat this threat, but we're also in the back of our mind like, motherfucking Russia's still out there. And you know what I mean?
Right,
It depends,
right.
It depends entirely on where they attack first. You know,
True that.
like if they just come down and they like settled over, I don't know, let's say somewhere in the Middle East, us here in America, be like, let's just wait and see what happens.
Right,
I
right.
mean, well, we don't have to rush over there unless they get close to the oil fields, and we're like, fuck those aliens, let's get them. You know,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
or if they're like
Sucks to be them, but we're all right.
China. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to figure out how to get stuff, but
Right.
we'll be the number one financial superpower in the world, though. It depends on who gets the biggest share of the rubble that's left over after.
Right.
I know there's a lot of countries that if the aliens just came over to America, they'd be like, it's about time they got their
Yeah, thank
fucking ass
fucking
kicked. You know?
Somebody kicked their ass. This is bullshit.
Canada would be like, excuse me, Mr. Alien, sir, please know that we're not them. Thank you. I'm sorry.
This is just
Sorry.
our annoying
Sorry.
neighbor.
Right.
We've lived on the same street for a long time. I don't really like that guy.
Yeah, no, I wave, I say hi. Sometimes, they'll come over to the yard and let them yell over the fence at me. But I ain't inviting them over.
Yeah, but he's just a neighbor. He's just a neighbor. I don't really. I don't know him. He doesn't come to cookouts or nothing. I mean,
They go down and ask the Mexicans. They're like, "Yeah, get those fuckers, get them, get them." They called us rapists and murderers. They tried to build a wall to keep us out. Kick their fucking asses.
Tried to build a fence, got me to pay for it.
They tried to get me to pay for it.
Tried to get me to pay for it.
I didn't, but they thought I did. No, I don't know. I don't. That's the thing. I don't think they'd have to do anything. If they really wanted our planet, all they got to do is wait. Unless they really need resources that we're burning a hole in. If we're destroying everything that they would come here for or be interested in that our planet has to offer, that's really the only reason I see them actually wiping out the human race. Because we can't pose any threat to them.
No, not even close. Really.
And our planet, I don't know if it had resources that were valuable. Life as we know it, you're gonna go get those resources. So they would have taken them already.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I seen something interesting. There was this asteroid or whatever that they discovered out in this asteroid belt that was made of like gold and platinum. And
I saw that too.
See, it's something like I don't know. It's 7 billion times the amount of gold and platinum that currently is in existence on the planet. And then somebody posted that it would basically be worth enough money that it could make every person in the world a billionaire.
Damn.
Well, and then I'm like, no, it couldn't though, because it doesn't matter anymore. Because the reason gold and platinum are expensive
valuable
is because they're rare.
Yep.
Now, if it's the most common element on the planet,
it goes from being so rare to being the most abundant material
Everyone has
on
a
the planet.
golden house.
It's like sand at that point, where you can get like a 40-pound bag for $1.50 at Walmart.
Right.
Clean sand. Now, regular sand, you could just go get a shovel, do it yourself for free.
DIY it.
Right. But,
Yeah, that's true though. Plus, we're going to go get it. We can't even make it past fucking the moon.
Right. Right. I know they're definitely going to be looking into it.
Oh, most
gold
certainly.
and platinum.
Yeah, money is the.
You know what? The messed up thing is the money isn't even real. Money's not real. It's all an imaginary, made-up concept.
Well, and everything is really. I mean, just even think about time itself. At some point, everybody in the world agreed that a second is as long as it is, But what really makes it that, other than us?
Someone said so.
Right.
Yeah. Other than then a person decided that this is the length of a second. And then this is the length of a minute. This is the length of an hour. This is the length of a day.
Well, that the length of a day and the length of a year and things like that. That's
right.
With the planetary,
right, but
is
see,
that part of it. But
right, whereas one rotation of the planet is a day and one revolution is a year. But why is it 365? Days? Obviously, it's because we rotate that many times through there. But why is the length of a day 24 hours? Because we decided that a second is this long, a minute is this long, an hour is this long, and the day is this long. We divided it. That day from the one time to the next, that was made up by humans.
Well, the day makes sense, but we had to name the metrics in between.
Well, right,
between point
exactly.
A and the next point A.
But that time from one spot in the rotation to the same spot in the rotation the next day, that could have been divided up any number of ways.
Oh,
why 24?
Whatever we wanted.
Why not 50? Why not 13? It could have been divided up into any number of ways, and that length of that second could have been a different amount of time. So even time itself is
it's like a
made-up construct. Even if the actual day and the year are
time
set.
Yeah, time isn't. The measurement of time is.
There you go. Thank you. That is a much better.
The metric that we use is a made up concept, but money is made up completely.
Oh yeah,
but they both run on the same sort of constraints. It's like order. This is the societal agreement to exchange money to track time in this way.
Right. I mean, it's basically a system of IOUs.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I'll sell you my time for this much money, and you can give me this.
Right.
But so, yeah. And if we got all this gold, that all goes to chaos. That would fucking wreck everything. We wouldn't have all kinds of have. It would. I don't know. We would probably all go to crypto.
But it wouldn't have to. It wouldn't have to, because our whole financial system was built on the value of gold.
That's what I mean.
Back in the day.
That's what I mean.
And then
that would be broken.
And now we're off of that. So our money isn't correlated with gold. It used to be there were gold and silver certificates.
Right.
was our money. This is good for this much gold. It's basically a deed to a bar of gold.
Right.
Oh, I own.
Well, but see, the thing is it's almost still worth it to do that, because with excess amounts of both gold and platinum, we could actually come up with some advancements, a lot more advancements, and actually use it as materials more than just precious metals. Instead of using gold to be the engagement rings, we can start using it for
electricity.
Exactly, because the atoms are so big, they give up their electrons so much easier than things like copper and aluminum and tin and stuff, which we're using for electrical conductors right now.
Right.
The only reason that we don't use things like gold and platinum is because
they're so scarce.
They're so scarce. It's not as abundant of a resource.
Here's a fun one. If that exists in space, and we want it so much, there is an interstellar traveler out there that could, theoretically go get it. Why didn't they? Why haven't they?
Why would they?
Right? Why would
Maybe
they?
because
they don't need it.
It's
They
not.
don't need it.
It's not as valuable to them as it is to us.
Yep.
Even in, say, a capacity that I was just talking about, as far as like a resource, more than just like a precious metal type scenario.
Well, gold has been the thing for as long as there's been civilization and society. Gold has been this like shiny, because it was shiny and pretty.
And
Right.
and also because it's unique as far as its color goes. I mean, you look at pretty much every other metal, and it's white or silver, or I mean, it's basically just like this colorless gray kind of thing. But gold is this yellow metal,
and it was malleable. So early on, they were able to make really cool shit out of gold.
Right.
That they couldn't make out of like iron or whatever, because it's different temperatures you got to get to. And they made some shit out of like lead and copper and stuff too, except that poisoned you. So you could have like a really awesome chalice made out of lead, and then not be able to find your ass with both hands and written instructions after a few years of drinking out of it. Like, oh, the Mad King. You got him drinking fucking poison every goddamn day. No wonder he's mad.
The equivalent of eating paint chips.
Right. Where gold doesn't have that. You can drink out of a gold mug all day. I mean, you can't, because can't afford it. But so all the kings were like, "Oh, sweet, get all this gold shit, and then I'm gonna look blinged out and pimping or whatever." And but it didn't have any inherent value back then, other than it was really neat looking, and they could make cool shit out of it.
Right.
So to any alien species that looks at it, I mean, who knows? What do they got that's better at conducting? Are they even using electricity?
Right, which comes back to my the fuel that I was talking about earlier. How are they propelling? I mean, they could be using magnets for all we know.
Probably burning coal.
Yeah, they're definitely burning coal,
right,
to get through space.
They just found a big old fucking coal asteroid, and they're just up there like they got like steam engines on those things, like
big smoke clouds.
That's funny. Well, gentlemen, I'd hate to cut you prematurely here, but I actually have a place to be soon.
That is quite all right. I
Um,
think we're coming up on an hour, and I wanted to keep this around there. But
So, we went down a lot of shit today, but that was fun.
it was a lot of fun. That's really what I want to do. I mean, I'll start with a topic and see where it goes, and I don't care that much where it goes. It was a hell of a lot of
We
fun.
went off topic a little bit a couple of times, but
Right.
I had fun with it.
But look, it's my show. I'll make the fucking rules. We can do whatever we want.
That's the best
Okay.
answer you can get.
If nobody wants to listen to it, then they're missing out, because this was fucking awesome. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of things happening.
That's the best thing about, podcasting. Yeah, how we're enabled to.
It's my show.
You
If
can
don't
do
like
whatever
it-
you want. You don't have to deal with the FCC or anything like that.
Right.
You can.
In fact, we're all naked from the waist down right now.
Exactly.
We're having sword fights under the table.
Um,
We're knights of the round table. We drink whenever we're able.
Nice.
Gary, who's your court wizard?
What's that?
Gary's Round Table?
Oh, I don't know.
Gary's Knights of the Round Table? Am I an official knight now?
You're a knight.
Oh, fuck yeah. I've never been a knight before.
I knight thee, but not with a K, like just an N-I-G-H-T.
Oh. Okay.
You
That's
got to earn the K.
Okay.
K. All right, this was awesome. So, first episode in the books. I want to thank Mike Proctor
Absolutely,
for
man.
letting me use the studio and use his equipment, and I want to thank Brant Swafford for being a special guest.
Thank you.
Check out Mike's podcast.
Look
Not
us
really
up.
that famous.
Not really that famous. It's funny, real quick story. I went to Disney World on my vacation. I had my Not Really That Famous shirt on. And some guy, or one of this entry staff was like, "Hey, bro, are you famous?" And I was like, "No, man, I'm not really
Dude,
that
it
famous."
says on my shirt I'm not.
That's fantastic.
I thought that was, it made me feel good.
That
So-
is fantastic.
But like, can't you read? It says not really that.
I put this here for you.
But
But
I wanted to
yeah,
make sure you guys knew I wasn't famous. Okay.
And I want to. Zed was gonna try to be here, but like I said, he's they're expecting a baby soon. Had a bunch of stuff to do, so he couldn't make it. But I'm sure he'll join us at some point.
Okay, well, you've always got a spot on Gary's Round Table.
Oh yeah, man. I'll be on as much as I can.
Anytime
for sure.
you got a spare minute, you're bored. Look, holler at your boy.
For sure.
It doesn't go for you, Brant.
Why should it?
Oh, it shouldn't. Of course it shouldn't. If you had a sweet studio and all the podcasting equipment set up, it probably would.
Oh, I see how it is.
Oh,
I don't
oh,
have the
oh.
resources for Gary.
Oh, I see.
I see why we're friends now.
Gary's got no intention of invading me because I don't have enough resources.
That's exactly right. But you keep your friends close and your podcasting friends closer. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it was a
Episode
good
1
time.
in the book is I appreciate you guys being part of the first go. I appreciate you letting me use the studio.
For sure, man.
and
Appreciate
stuff.
you having me.
The rest of them are probably going to be over Zoom, so the sound quality is going to be shit. But it's still going to be fun. All
For
right.
sure.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Peace out.
Peace.
Later.
All right, I want to thank you for tuning in and listening to the first episode of Gary's Roundtable. We had a blast, a lot of fun talking with those guys. I'm looking forward to next week, where I'll be joined by my good friends Mike Cooling and Brian Dreyer, and the subject, as selected by the Totally Random Randomizer by Mike, will be everyone's favorite, fun and good times, nuclear war. So be sure to tune in for that. It's going to be fun. I look forward to, hearing some more, getting some more stuff done. So thanks for your support. Thanks for listening. Much love.